Facing a sudden geopolitical crisis, Europe's critical tech access was abruptly cut off. The 2026 EU Tech Sovereignty Package: Can Europe find her way in the AI era? Before 2026, parts of Europe's policy debate still treated digital technology largely as market-driven infrastructure. The strategic priority was often to purchase the most efficient software and hardware available, while questions of where the code was written, where data was stored, or where chips were manufactured remained secondary. This created a persistent internal divide. While a French-led push argued for greater European tech autonomy, more open market countries such as the Netherlands and Denmark were cautious, fearing that excessive isolation could harm the broader economy. While the internal debate continued, a structural dependency deepened. Europe eventually relied on non-EU countries for over 80% of its key digital products, services, infrastructure, and intellectual property. Foreign technology providers now underpin major tiers of Europe's infrastructure stack, supporting email, data storage, cloud processing, government services, and administrative capacity. By treating technology too often as a market commodity, Europe had built parts of its modern economy on foundations shaped by foreign powers, creating new geopolitical vulnerabilities. One major wake-up call arrived in the final days of the Biden administration. Days before leaving office, Washington pushed through new rules restricting exports of advanced AI chips to some European countries, showing that access to foundational AI infrastructure could be shaped by US decisions without European consensus. EU leaders were reminded that even their closest ally possessed powerful leverage over Europe's access to the artificial intelligence revolution. The concern became more concrete when the Trump administration used sanctions in ways that exposed Europe's dependence on US-controlled digital and financial infrastructure. After the International Criminal Court in The Hague issued an arrest warrant for Israel's prime minister over alleged war crimes in Gaza, Washington retaliated through sanctions. This diagram maps the fallout. Top court officials were reportedly cut off from widely used US-linked services, including payment systems such as Visa and MasterCard, and services including Amazon, Airbnb, and Booking.com. This combination of digital pressure and territorial confrontation made the old free market position harder to sustain inside Europe. The political breaking point followed shortly after, when the US executive branch directed renewed territorial pressure toward Greenland, an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark. Europe's response did not start from zero. It built on the 2030 digital decade, which sets 2030 targets for infrastructure, skills, business digitalization, and public services. But in 2026, the Commission turned that agenda into a concrete tech sovereignty package adopted on June 3rd. Its North Star goal is tech sovereignty, Europe's ability to act independently in the digital world by developing and controlling key technologies, data, and infrastructure, while reducing reliance on non-EU providers. This radar chart illustrates the comprehensive nature of the 2026 package. It targets several connected domains at once: artificial intelligence, semiconductors, cloud capacity, data, open source, digital infrastructure, market regulation, and cybersecurity. The Commission presents these measures as an integrated architecture for competitiveness, resilience, security, strategic autonomy, and long-term technological leadership. The EU is using market regulation as one tool to rebalance power with foreign digital gatekeepers while keeping digital markets open and fair. The Digital Services Act establishes obligations for online platforms to improve transparency, strengthen user protection, and address illegal and harmful content in the EU digital space. Beside it, the Digital Markets Act sets rules for large digital gatekeepers to prevent unfair practices and improve contestability in digital markets. To address hardware, the European Chips Act strengthened Europe's semiconductor ecosystem. In 2026, Chips Act 2.0 became part of the Tech Sovereignty Package, aiming to reinforce research, design, manufacturing capacity, demand, and supply chain resilience. This pyramid illustrates the software, data, and AI approach. The EU is building a domestic AI engine through the AI Continent Action Plan, AI factories, high-performance computing access, data availability, skills, adoption, simplification, and the AI Act's framework for trustworthy AI. The 2026 package also adds the Cloud and AI Development Act, designed to expand Europe's cloud and data center capacity and support more sovereign, resilient, and competitive European AI solutions. Data policy forms another layer. The Data Union Strategy and Data Act aim to improve access to high-quality data, support AI, and create fair rules for data sharing across connected products and services. Open source is also elevated into a sovereignty tool through the EU Open Source Strategy and the EU Open Source Solutions Catalog, helping public administrations discover, share, and reuse open source software. The Cyber Resilience Act provides the security layer, placing mandatory cybersecurity requirements around products with digital elements, while the ICT Supply Chain Security Toolbox helps member states identify, assess, and mitigate supply chain risks. Reducing dependence on deeply embedded US technology could mitigate vulnerabilities, but it could also trigger trade and diplomatic friction with an unpredictable Washington. To navigate this, the EU is moving toward a dual-track strategy. It publicly pushes for greater independence while still maintaining transatlantic supply chain cooperation, existing trade relationships, and partnerships in areas such as AI supply chains. It publicly pushes for greater independence while still maintaining transatlantic supply chain cooperation, existing trade relationships, and partnerships in areas such as AI supply chains. True European tech sovereignty does not mean isolation, protectionism, or tech decoupling. It means steadily building the structural capacity to withstand foreign pressure while keeping Europe open, competitive, and able to choose its own digital future.